Okay, the UCI have dropped the anti-doping case against Chris Froome. Day after he is blocked from entering the Tour de France, and a day before Team Sky had to get their final appeal in to get him into the Tour de France. Interesting to note. We know what's happened in the past, and I'm not going to cover that again. We covered it a lot yesterday and in previous videos. But it's interesting to note, as soon as the Tour de France organisers said we're not happy with him competing in this year's event, within half an hour of that press release, Team Sky released their own saying, we're exceptionally confident that he'll be allowed to race. And within half a day of that, he's cleared to compete. Well, yeah, 24 hours, but he's allowed to compete. But as in, he's cleared by the UCI, in the sense that he's no longer investigation. At which point, I wouldn't be surprised if Team Sky and the Tour de France organisers come to some kind of arrangement where he's allowed to be re-registered. Yeah. Personally, I think because it's Chris Froome and he's a high-profile rider and he's called it controversial prior and four camps, the UCI on one day of the adverse result. If he had more than one day, then yeah, please by all means investigate. 1 day out of 21. Well, I'm not a Chris Froome fan, and I was like, well, yeah, the rules have been broken, or he has had a violation. It's under the rule book. Investigating the investigation far too long. This is a token gesture by the UCI. There's a lot of political manoeuvring going on in the background there. I think it has damaged the integrity of the sport over the last 9 months, especially with him riding in the Giro, and the Giro race organisers giving a less strongly worded statement than the Tour de France by only saying they didn't want him to win for it to look bad for the sport rather than going on and blocking his application to join the race. The Tour de France have carried on and just added that little bit extra spice into the mix by basically saying, yeah, we're going to block him from racing this year's event while he's under investigation. Now, I personally think that's not necessarily the wrong thing to do. I think if any athlete or any sportsman or woman under investigation in their particular sport for a doping violation or any violation, it could be discipline. It could be they've had a criminal like Ben Stokes investigation. I think whilst they're under investigation for any misdemeanour, they should be suspended on half pay by their employer, so their team or their sponsors, etc., and clear their name, because it is a reputational damage to the sport and the integrity of the sport is being questioned. That's my personal view. People will disagree with that, but that's my personal view, and I think that's a view that a lot of people may share. The athlete or the team or whoever it is has got to clear their name, and then they can go back to competing knowing they've got a clean slate. 9 months this has been going on. I do think the UCI, their hand was forced by the anti-Froome lobby and the anti-Team Sky lobby. I think it's more the anti-Team Sky lobby in world cycling than one particular rider. It just so happens he's the figurehead of Team Sky and he's the face of Team Sky. It surprises me that it took 2.5-3 months for the information to come out to the public that he had this adverse test result. I prefer a more transparent, open system, or do it complete behind closed doors and we don't have this press intrusion and this speculation. The speculation has not been helpful either. Team Sky have obviously given their press releases in the last 9 months. They haven't come across in a shining light, especially with the Jiffy Bag controversy over here in the UK with the UK Parliament and their select committee dragging them over the coals and making them look really amateur and unprofessional. Chris Froome's own personal interviews and press releases haven't covered him in a shining light with his how he comes across. I don't know, who's doing the media coaching and the PR at Team Sky and Chris Froome, but they're not doing a great job. Let's just keep that clear. I will say this: the weather is hot. It's burning hot outside. It's over 30 degrees here in England. It's very similar conditions in France. There's not forecast to be a lot of rain. Tempers will flare with the extra media intrusion into this year's race because of this scandal and this whitewash of an investigation. It was a piss poor investigation. The UCI weren't taking it seriously at all. It was a token investigation. That's my view on it. Others may disagree. The extra media scrutiny, especially into Team Sky in these hot conditions. You've got to imagine if it was pissing down with rain outside and it was 22 degrees and it wasn't as hot as it has been for the last 2-3 weeks, riders would react a little bit differently. The heat and tempers, they don't mix. Hot conditions and athletes are not necessarily a good mix because tempers will flare. And I can see some negative backlash towards the media. I can see fans not being happy with this as well. There's going to be a lot of cycling fans who are not happy with, firstly, the Tour de France blocking his entry, but then there's going to be other cycling fans who are not happy with him being cleared of his violation a day later. We've seen cycling fans at the Tour de France, yeah, they can overstep the boundary. They have been known to throw urine over cyclists, including Chris Froome. But it's when Chris Froome comes out and goes, I don't understand their reaction, whereby I think he's not in touch with the fan base, and Team Sky aren't in touch with the fan base either. And I think a lot of teams are not in touch with what cycling fans expect and deserve, which is a more clean sport than we've had. It's cleaner than what it was 20 years ago. There's, I would say, about 10 to 20% of cyclists are now doping on an industrial basis rather than 80%. There's now a minority of those cyclists who want to cheat. However, the sport still has a long way to go to repair the bridges of the Lance Armstrong era and the revelations after that. Long way to go. We are in a position now, though, that the UCI, Team Sky, Chris Froome, they all look, and I think possibly the Tour de France and the Giro and the three Grand Tours in general, the Vuelta, the Giro, and the Tour de France, their integrity has been questioned. UCI's integrity has been questioned, as is Team Sky and Chris Froome. No one comes out in glory out of this or shining up. They all come out looking pretty piss poor, if I'm being honest. And I am being honest. There we go. I'm going to leave that there. We will see if the Tour de France organisers then allow him to compete. I can't see them having any reason now for them to not allow him to complete. But the UCI's decision, very coincidental, isn't it? So you can read into that what you will. And I'm going to leave that there. Thank you very much for watching. Please like and subscribe. Place your comments below. And I will have some more videos for you soon.